So kind of leading back into this, because we're getting back into almost like the basics of Scarlet and Violet, where we're not going to have legendaries or paradox Pokemon or things like that. Do you have any ideas or any Pokemon that you're wanting to see kind of shine in Regulation H?
Of course, Incineroar is going to be probably top tiger again. Now that the legendaries are gone, he's going to be up there even more.
What gym type would we all choose if we were to be a gym leader?
So, I've always been partial to the fire type. Ever since Pokemon Gold and Silver, Typhlosion's always been my favorite. It might struggle in a lot of competitive battles, but I'd still have to put Typhlosion on the team just for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been my favorite. I think now with Hisuian Typhlosion, maybe it's a lot better, so maybe it'll actually do a lot more on my team.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Skilling Podcast, where we get chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and all voices in between who make the Pokemon community incredible. You know our friend, MrChabry's back. Today, we're just gonna, we wanted to have MrChabry back on and chat about, a couple different things, get to know, get to see what he's been up to recently, and also chat some new VGC regulations, because MrChabry has been getting into that a little bit too. And so, to start off with, MrChabry, you have been, I've noticed that you've done a couple more of your type gym leader runs. So in Gen 1, you've been going around as a gym leader. I believe last time you had only done Eric, the grass gym leader, brother of Erica, if I remember correctly. And I've seen a bug one here, ice gym one here, poison, and I believe fighting and normal. Am I missing any? Or is
You've done quite a few though, right?
Yeah. I've been going through. I've been basically like a checklist of the different types. Just been kind of going through, trying to hit all the big types for Generation 1.
Yeah, Psychic as well. I see down a little bit lower.
Fighting is the most recent one, but
yeah. I think that's such a fun electric as well. I think you've done most of them, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, right now, so currently I'm working on flying, so I'm actually interested in how that would work. After flying, I've got rock and ground. I'm kind of encompassing dragon within flying, because there's only one dragon type.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if I did a dragon type one, it would just be Dragonite.
Just Dragonite, yeah. Dragonite solo run.
Yeah.
Or 6 Dragonites. Yeah, those I love those. I love those videos. They do really well for you as well, which is fun to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always fun to kind of contrast and go back with the just a Gen 1 playthrough compared to some of like the other competitive stuff that you've done with Scarlet and Violet. It's a really fun. And then you also I watched through your Black 2 playthrough as well. You that was a couple months ago. You just barely wrapped that up, but that was really fun. You had a really good team, and I know the last few videos did pretty well for you as well. So but yeah, no, I love those playthroughs of being a gym leader for Gen 1. It's classic.
I know. It's been a lot of fun going through each one, trying to come up with like a little story for each one, trying to make it fit their typing, their theme, and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say they're really well edited. They look great. They flow great. They're really fun to watch. I know whenever those have popped up, I'm like, I got my video to watch during lunch when I'm eating lunch, and I can toss on a video for a little bit when I'm on break, and we're good to go. So
yeah.
It's honestly like just such a piece. It's like the Zen zone for me a lot of the times with a lot of our friends and their videos, and just like throwing that on and just be like, oh yeah, here we go, MrChabry video, just chillax, eat, take a break from work. I'm curious, have you had because I believe it was just grass when the last time we chatted that you had done it.
I think it was fire and grass. I think those were the only two that I've done when we first chatted. And I think I was currently, or at the time, working on water.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm curious, so after you've kind of gotten to this point where you've done most of the types now, I think you have like 2 or 3 left from what you said, have you had a favorite so far, or one that was harder than you expected it to be?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Yeah, I think my favorite, I think I was mildly surprised with ice.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ice really seemed to be like the ice types were really strong, and I didn't expect them to be as good as they were.
That's interesting. So let's see. Ice types in Gem 1, you got Dugong,
Mm-hmm.
you got
Jinx,
you got Articuno,
Cloyster,
that's right.
And Lapras.
Yeah.
Lapras. So just those 5. That's so cool.
I know. They really surprised me with how well they did too. I think I even made a comment on that one while in the video about how that one I beat it in the least amount of in-game hours.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that. That's right. That's crazy.
So, I know. And the funny thing is, we think of Ice as not that great of a type, especially like looking back, but it's actually really good offensively.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah.
Yeah, they hit so many things super effective, like ground, flying, and a lot of types that you come across are going to have ground or flying attached to them.
Right.
Well, and Ice has a very low resistance pool, because like I think the only one in Gen 1s that resisted Ice was Fire and Ice. Is that correct?
So I think actually Fire didn't resist in Gen 1.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Charizard is actually weak to Ice type moves in Generation 1.
Oh my gosh, how did I not know that? That's insane. That's crazy.
When Generation 2, they added the Ice resistance to Fire.
Okay, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, it's funny they didn't do that. You think that'd make sense, but I guess not.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Really interesting,
man.
Was do you remember who your rival starter was when you did that run, or
the Ice type one?
Yeah.
So what I chose Charizard as my starter, so that way Blastoise would be the rival's Pokemon.
Yeah. Okay. So you made it harder for your specifically the harder one.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's cool.
So that way he would have the one starter that actually resisted Ice in Gen 1.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's see, and then the hardest gym battles for you probably would have been Misty then, because of that ice resistance. But the rest of them didn't have any resistances, and that's and so you pretty much could that's really interesting to think about back on that, and because I totally forgot about that fire thing. That's really interesting.
Yeah. See, Ice. I feel like Ice has always been one of the best offensive types. It's
Definitely.
just that defensive quality to it is what's held it back all that time.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to ask as well, was there has there been a type so far that was a little more difficult or took you some more time, whether that's extra grinding, extra attempts at a gym leader, or just a gym leader that lasted long because of the difficulty of it?
Yeah, so Bug type was pretty challenging.
Yeah, I was going to say Bug might be one of the harder ones, right?
Yeah, especially with Brock. It's like I was trying to level up. Of course, when I was first doing the playthrough, I was kind of thinking of the learn set from Yellow. So I was thinking, okay, I'll just get Butterfree to evolve, and it's got Confusion. Well, it's actually a few levels later.
In Red
Blue, yeah, that's right.
So I ended up kind of using my starter to help out in that one, which I really wish that I just grinded a little bit more with Butterfree to get that Confusion. I think that's one thing that if I could go back in time and change, I would do that. But yeah, Bug was probably the most challenging.
And one other thing I want to ask you, I think one thing I do like about these challenges, and that would be fun for people to do, whether that's just casually or make some content off, like something similar as well, is you use Pokemon that you probably haven't used a lot before, maybe not at all. Was there a Pokemon that you really enjoyed using? We're like, hey, that was actually kind of fun, or that kind of impressed me. Anything like that?
Yeah, so I actually found that Pinsir was pretty fun to use.
Okay.
I never used Pinsir in Gen 1. I used Mega Pinsir in like online battles, but I never used Pinsir itself.
Yeah.
So I ended up using a Pinsir with Swords Dance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that ended up just boosting that damage output to where
especially with the badge boost, right?
What's that?
with the badge boost too, right? Like that.
Yeah,
That would
so with
kind
that
of gives
badge
it the
boost
extra
plus
power.
the swords dance, it just hits everything. It just hits so hard.
That's really, really cool. I was thinking, I was like wondering if pincer was going to be your answer there too, because I think it's like kind of interesting. Like I feel like I haven't used a pincer before either, and it's like one of the ones that just kind of gets overlooked in the bug category. Partly probably because
It's
of
bug.
you got like Scizor, you got like in the later generations and things like that. But like, in Butterfree and Beedrill are easy to find early on. But yeah, no, Pinsir is a really cool mon, and it's pretty bulky. It's got that hyper attack that you said,
Yeah.
so that's really, really cool. I like that shout out a lot.
So
It's a lot of fun.
Fun fact: Pinsir has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th highest attack in Gen 1. Or I guess it's technically the 3rd, because Dragonite's 134, Machamp, Kingler, Rhydon, and Flareon are tied at 130, and then Pinsir is tied with Gyarados at 125 for base attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's stronger than Hitmonlee, that's stronger than Kabutops, it's stronger than Arcanine, it's stronger than Scyther and Snorlax. That's correct. Pinsir hits hard. That's a hard-hitting bug.
Well, Bug is isn't that the only one that's super effective against Psychic in this game?
Yeah, it's the only one.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, no dark, yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And I think Ghost was a glitched in that one too, where
Ghost doesn't work.
It's actually weak against Psychic or something like that.
Yeah, I think Psychic's immune to Ghost in Gen 1.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yep.
These games are crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, Ghost is supposed to be the answer to Psychic, but you can't even hit a Psychic with Ghost, so...
Oh my gosh. I need to see another list one of these times, like a compilation of all the first gen Pokemon glitches. 'Cause I remember seeing a screenshot a while back of like 20 plus. I think there's more, but it was just 15 to 20 of the craziest ones. I'll see if I can maybe fish up a couple right here, but it's just I think it's why it's fun to see you do these, because these games just have a certain charm to them, even though they're just broken as all heck. But
it's a completely different game. It's it's honestly it's something that's the type chart is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And also because of the stats differences, right? Because you have that special being both special defense and special attack. So mons that I'm thinking that's probably part of the reason why some of those ice types did so well is because their special was pretty high.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah,
Jinx can probably do some pretty good damage just because of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Jinx was another really good one. Yeah. That one did so much. Plus that Psychic typing, and Gen 1 Psychic is one of the best typings you can go with.
So you had that's actually really interesting to think about too, is Jinx is probably the best offensive typing in the game at that point, right? Because it's Psychic and Ice.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's really strong. It hits really hard on both sides.
That's super cool.
Obviously, we all know. So crits were based off of speed. So fast Pokemon can do a lot more crits. I didn't know this. Toxic turns into normal poison if you switch out while under the effects of toxic poison. So if you get toxic, all you gotta do.
Is that the same, or is that not? Because I always thought that now you could still switch out and become poison. Is that not the same?
It just resets the damage counter, the toxic buildup.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Man, there's some crazy
ones.
That's
why in modern competitive battling, I love using Toxapex, because with those toxic spikes, you can get a lot of toxic passed around.
Yeah, big time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Let's see, man. Yeah, there's some. I mean, obviously, you kill someone with Hyper Beam, you don't have to recharge. The 256 chance of missing. I think the craziest one that I didn't realize for the longest time was that if you were frozen, you don't thaw unless you get hit with a fire move. There's no thawing. You just have to get hit by something, which is crazy.
I don't know.
You got para wrap strats in that game where you could just totally
mess with someone.
It was so bad.
Yeah. Apparently on this one, I don't know if this is coded into Showdown, but if you were doing link battles on the playground back in the day, Whirlwind and Roar don't do anything in versus. So if your opponent ups their stats, then you're just screwed. You can't do anything about it.
You can't phase them out or anything.
Yeah, you can't do anything. There. That's crazy. So, anyways, that's fun.
Spikes came around in Gen 2, right? That was Gen 2?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I couldn't remember. That's really cool. Well, on this topic, as we're kind of like, chatting about around this topic, MrChabry actually had a question he wanted to chat about that he let us know is what gym type would we all choose if we were to be a gym leader? And I think this is a really fun question. Josh, why don't you start us off, man?
Is this just if I were in the Pokemon universe? Is this a specific generation or anything like that?
I guess you could pick the generation.
Okay. Oh man, I'm pretty partial. Ironically speaking, of Gen 1, this doesn't exist, but I might be a dark type guy. Consider myself a nice charismatic, outgoing person, but maybe that might deceive some weary young challengers.
In the shadows, you're just
roll up to my gym. Yeah, I got my Tyranitar, I got my I got my Zoroark, I got my all that good stuff, got my Houndoom. So I think I'm probably a dark type. I've always liked a lot of good dark types. There's some other types that call out to me, but I think I'd probably go for that. I'd have some mercy and not use King Gambit. Maybe that's for the rematch. If they beat me, maybe on the rematch I'll pull out the King Gambit. But for now I'll hold off on that one. But yeah, that's probably what I do.
I love that. That's really cool.
What about you, Logan?
I think for myself, I think Ice is actually a very interesting type. I'm a little bit more. I've been kind of sweet on Ice recently because in our draft league with Josh, I've been using. It was a doubles draft this time around, and so that was the format that we were using. And so I was using Alolan Ninetales, and my Ubers in the fight were either Iron Bundle or Kyurem Black.
Nice.
And so I just I've really enjoyed the ice typing, and with the new boost with the snow, I feel like there's can definitely be some fun things. So like a Alolan Ninetales in there, with you could do Lapras. I think is an amazing Pokemon. Also really likes the Titan. And then there's some other fun ones in there like Mamoswine. You got that thick fat going on for you. That buff boy. So I mean, and so I think ice it could be really really fun just because there's a lot of fun ice types that you can play around with. And really, and even legendary ice types too. Like you got Articuno, you got like Calyrex, and so there's some fun ones that you could play around with, and do some shenanigans with like the Alolan Ninetales, Snow, and stuff like that. So I think I'd probably go ice or fire, but I think right now I'm going to say ice because there's a lot of fun combinations that you can do.
I like it.
Nice.
What
nice.
What about you?
So I've always been partial to the fire type.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, I've always been partial to the fire type. Ever since Pokemon Gold and Silver, Typhlosion's always been my favorite.
I love it.
So it might struggle in a lot of competitive battles, but I'd still have to put Typhlosion on the team just for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been my favorite. I think now with Hisuian Typhlosion, maybe it's a lot better, so maybe it'll actually do a lot more on my team.
There you go.
And then I'd probably put. What's that?
Oh no, I was just gonna say. After you finish, sorry, I'll say what I was gonna say. Sorry.
Okay, so another Pokemon I would add is Incineroar, because Incineroar it used to be my mascot Pokemon back after Sun and Moon came out, and it's been one of the best Pokemon to use in competitive since it came out. So
both singles and doubles.
Oh yeah, it's really taken doubles by storm.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of dethroned Landorus.
Yep.
It kind of has, yeah. It really has because of the just parting shot and being able to slow pivot. Dark also blocks a lot of the prankster stuff, and yeah, it's just it's a great Pokemon. I know if you ask a lot of people, they'll either love it or hate it, but they'll never deny how good it is in the meta, and that it certainly has its place. So that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, it's really strong, really good.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably put Torkoal to get some sunlight out on the field.
Yeah, there you go.
Get some drought
Torkoal
going.
With the sun out, with Typhlosion out there, Eruption just hits that much harder.
Yep. That's the thing with Typhlosion. Even if I'm just doing random battles or whatever, if a Typhlosion comes out, it's one of those Pokemon where you're like 99% sure what it's going to have, what the build out is going to be. It's probably going to be the Choice Scarf max speed. It's going to try and hit you with that Eruption. But if you're not in the right spot, that thing will if not sweep you, it'll punch a nice clean hole in your team. So that's one of those ones where whenever it pops up, it's like, I know what you're gonna do, and you know what you're gonna do. We all know what's gonna happen here, and it's not gonna be a good time. So yeah, if you get your Torkoal running that drought, even just Terra Fire that Typhlosion, just up that damage that much more, and then you're golden.
I was going to mention, this is what I wanted to mention earlier. I got too excited. Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off while we were talking, but me and Josh were invited by one of our friends, PokeDad, another YouTube creator who does AI tournaments and stuff like that, to, in his most recent tournament, he had each of the generations have a face-off. And mine was one of the Hisuian regions. And I remember seeing from one of your videos how much power Hisuian Typhlosion could do. And so I basically mimicked the set Choice Scarf Eruption, and Josh and I we did a reaction to just our fights against each other, and that thing was gnarly. It was taking out like half the team on one of the runs just because of how powerful that eruption was.
I know,
it's crazy.
So,
yeah, they really improved
Typhlosion, man.
Yeah, they really improved it. Typhlosion was one of those Pokemon that needed some form of love, and with that, they gave it a little more special attack. They gave it ghost typing as well, and now it can actually hit things a lot harder.
And it's got that signature move too. Infernal Parade,
which is such a cool name. Like whoever translated that into English was like, that's like they need to be erased because that was an amazing name.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Well, one thing we want to ask you about really quick as well. You've done a lot of awesome VGC content. I know your last video I watched the other day about that annoying muck that's always trying to minimize and make life just so difficult for you. Turn the battle into a grind, and you're just basically praying for a hit. But is there anything that you've enjoyed about the past or current regulation, and anything that you are because we got Reg H that was just revealed? It's a big deal. There's a lot of stuff banned. A lot of your legendaries, your paradox Pokemon. It's gonna be a very different meta. I was just reading through the Smogon forum earlier today, and some people have a lot of thoughts on that. So maybe kind of give us some of your thoughts on Reg G and some of the fun matches you've had recently, and then maybe some thoughts on what's to come.
Yeah, so I think Regulation G, the team that I really enjoyed using was that Kyogre team.
Right.
Yeah, that was a team that I found on the Smogon forum, and I believe it won a high standing in one of the competitions. So I was going to try out some of those teams, and that was the one that I feel like was the easiest for me to figure the handle on, because it's like you know what you're doing if you've got Kyogre on your team. You're just setting up the rain, and then you're just hitting things really hard with Water Spout.
Yep.
Yeah,
and like with I'm assuming it's Terra Water, like it's like Terra Water generally, and on top of that Water Spout, there's like nothing that can live that very well at all. It's just so much damage.
I know it hits really hard. I think the one that I was using might have been Terra Ice with Blizzard.
Oh, okay, that's cool too.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, so it gives you kind of a surprise if someone sends out something that normally would counter Kyogre. But it still has that Water Spout, so it can take advantage of the drizzle as well.
And the rain as well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that so much. And I'm noticing on here, you also did a Alolan Ninetales team. There's a Lugia one as well. There's a lot of fun ones that you're playing. Alolan Raichu, too, which I love. And so it's just like it's kind of fun to see like the variety that's happening. So kind of leading back into this, because we're getting back into almost like the basics of Scarlet and Violet, where we're not going to have legendaries or paradox Pokemon or things like that. Do you like have any ideas or any like Pokemon that you're wanting to see kind of shine in Regulation H?
So I think a big one that's going to be coming back. Of course, Incineroar is going to be probably top Tiger again.
Yep.
It's like he never really went anywhere during all the legendaries, but now that the legendaries are gone, he's going to be up there even more.
Yep.
So I think he's going to be a top one. I think King Gambit's going to probably be up there, huge. With Sucker Punch. So in doubles, Sucker Punch is kind of like a game, like a mind game.
I really think that's cool. Yeah, it's so tough to. It's tough to predict because if they bluff the sucker punch, then you just get smacked with a kowtow cleave, and that hurts even more, or an iron head, or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely mind games. I think we'll probably see some more Rillaboom. Obviously, I know Rillaboom's always really good. Can't go wrong with Palafin.
Yeah, Palafin, I was going to say, is going to come back, especially with, Pelipper being, I can't remember if Pelipper was in Regulation A or not, but still, that's going to be powerful with also Dondonzo and Tatsugiri sets.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to see if, Mousehold makes kind of a comeback. But we have a lot of also other interesting options from the new decks is Magmar kind of made a comeback a little bit, or at least I know that Wolf kind of showed him off in a tournament, and with Magmar, with some of these other redirectors maybe not being as usable, like Ogerpon being one of those very strong redirectors. I wonder if maybe Magmar might take a place of that a little bit, or if it'll still be Indeedee or something like that. I think I'm also actually really interested to see if Hydrapple can finally find a place in the meta, especially with the contrary stuff. I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be really cool to see kind of what eventually comes to pass, all together. Because I mean, it's really, I think it's really interesting why they're doing this, and I don't know exactly why, but I think it's really cool because now it's going to be able to highlight just the basic Pokemon of each of those dexes, and really see what can shine from previous strategies. It's almost like refining those initial strategies from Regulation A and seeing what can come out of that, which I think will be really cool.
What I want to see is some dark horse Pokemon that you wouldn't expect make a showing in EDC, just come out and just dominate, kind of like how in 2014 Pachirisu was the big thing that everyone was
trying to make work.
Just jump in and just destroy, the championship. Awesome. I just want to see something like that where it's a Pokemon you wouldn't expect and it jumps in and just takes the whole world by storm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be really fun to see Mousehold get a championship, or even I know what's the Bramble,
Bramblegast.
Bramblegast.
Bramblegast. Yeah. I think that one could be very interesting because I actually think Revival Blessing is such an interesting move.
Oh yeah.
Especially competitively, and so I think it'd be really cool to see if that could take some highlights here and there.
Rabsca
with some
Palmot.
See if they could play around with that a little bit more. I'm trying to think of any other mons that are introduced in this most recent DLC that could really be a big game changer.
It's just crazy, how a lot of the staples that we've had are just not going to be there anymore. I'm just looking at the legendaries in the Paradox, no more Gouging Fire, no more Raging Bolt, no more
Fluttermane, dude. Fluttermane's out.
Fluttermane's a big one.
No more Great Tusk, no more Urshifu, no more Iron Hands.
Oh yeah.
I know you just faced a Chi-Yu recently, so obviously no more Chi-Yu. I mean, it's just it's going to be really, really, really interesting.
It's shuffling the whole deck.
So are you planning on maybe kind of slightly reconfiguring your current team, or are you gonna kind of go from the ground up and just see what the reg or the meta throws at you?
I think we're just going to go ground up. We're going to just go in, just see if we can find things that just find things that we might not have used before. Kind of think about, all right, so here are some of the top used Pokemon. What can you do to kind of counteract those? That's what I'm thinking about doing with whenever Reg H comes in. Just kind of think of what are some Pokemon that usually don't get the spotlight.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I do wonder if we're going to see more Grimmsnarl or maybe Garchomp even gets kind of a comeback season here.
Oh yeah,
because it is one of those faster. It'll at least be faster. It doesn't have as many super powerful dragon types to deal with anymore. So it might be able to come back and kind of give some more fight to it.
Yeah. What I would love to see is Typhlosion, Hisuian Typhlosion come in and just be a surprise play.
I love it. Let's see. Oh man, that'd be amazing to see something like that come in and just surprise everyone.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Just the surprises, the things that you wouldn't expect to become big.
Mm-hmm. You got like Scizor coming back into Pyroar. No, I'm just kidding. Smeargle could also I could see Smeargle being something that could be taken up, some slots just because of the flexibility that it has,
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be really interesting to see, and I'm really excited to see it. So if you were gonna make a team, so let's say Hisui and Typhlosion, you're making a team around it. What would you use like as your backbones and like some of the things there, especially with kind of like this new format in mind?
All right, so I think Hisui and Typhlosion obviously needs to be there. I think Torkoal would probably be really good there.
Yeah.
So these are kind of like the main tactic: get the sun up and just hit things.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably bring in something that can kind of check the things that would normally wouldn't mind having Typhlosion out there. Maybe bring Rillaboom to take care of some of those water types.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a Palafin maybe as a offensive water type. That one probably be pretty good. I do like Flip Turn, using Flip Turn and then bringing it back out in its hero form.
Yeah.
And then I think King Gambit would probably be pretty good too, because then you can sucker punch the things that are normally faster than Typhlosion.
I like that.
And then, Ursaluna would be pretty good too.
Yeah.
I think the main thing would be that Typhlosion and Torkoal core would just kind of fill out things, and probably adjust here or there depending on how useful they appear to be.
So interestingly enough, I'm just skimming the thread on Reg H, and someone here actually highlighted some highlighted some unconventional Pokemon, and highlights actually Hisui and Typhlosion. So I was just reading this, and it kind of goes in line with what you were saying. So he says, when looking through the decks, I realized we don't have a lot of fast special fire types. Volcarona is a great setup sweeper, but I wanted fast immediate power. And that leads us to Hisui and Typhlosion. It's not hard to use. Slap a scarf on it, click Eruption, watch stuff die. But when your health gets low, you can do Blaze boosted heat waves or overheats. It hates rain, doesn't love sand either, but that's why you run Torkoal with it.
Yeah.
Mentioned like running Rillaboom with it, Palafin, Whimsicott, stuff like that. Because Whimsicott's here too.
Oh yeah, and that would be good for Tailwind support too.
Yeah. Get the thing extra fast. So you can do specs.
Yeah.
You can do specs Tailwind. Just put specs on the Typhlosion, and then that way you don't need to worry about the scarf. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, just hit things so hard. Yeah.
Okay. We got a little something going on here. And so, would you go for the offensive Terra type, or would you go for like a? You probably would go for just like Terra Fire, right? Just for the power.
Yeah, just if you can hit things super hard with Typhlosion, just hit things really hard. Yeah. I think if you go a defensive Terra type though, it'd have to be something that something like maybe a dark Terra or maybe Fairy, just so you don't get hit with those sucker punches.
Right.
That King Gambit is throwing out there.
And
also,
I was going to ask you, does Hisui Typhlosion get Calm Mind? So maybe you could even just make it more like a setup mon. If it gets Calm Mind, I can't remember if it does.
It does get Calm Mind. It gets Calm Mind, yep.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah. So maybe if you went in defensive Terra type, maybe you make it more of like a setup sweeper.
Like a setup Typhlosion.
But I like the immediate power, and from what he's saying, I don't see a lot of fast special fire types right now in the decks after all those bans. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some opportunity for your guy right there. That's awesome. Yeah. It's fun. Literally, as you were talking about that, I was just scrolling through and I saw someone mention that. So hey, there's some substance to what we're talking about.
Maybe Reg H would be H for Hisui and Typhlosion.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. There we go.
I love it.
Well, even on the Ghost side of things, it's got some pretty powerful, it's got some pretty good speed. And like you said, with Tailwind or something like that, like with the Infernal Parade, if you can play around with Caustic Strats and things like that, that thing's doing pretty good damage. And the Infernal Parade itself, I mean, it has a 30% chance to burn just naturally. Like, so that thing can be just such a good like fast, like powerful mon, but also as a support, right? Thing where it can just nuke something, but also possibly give out some status effects as well,
Oh
which I
yeah.
love. I was also going to shout out. Grievard, is that the final evolution of
Houndstone.
the Houndstone? That's what I was thinking.
Mm.
I think Fluffy Houndstone might actually make some interesting appearances here because I feel like it hasn't, like in singles, I know it was banned, at least on the Smogon forums for a while. But I actually think it'll be really interesting to see if it kind of makes a comeback in Regulation H just because it's a bulky ghost type.
Mm-hmm.
And it plays well in sand teams. Like I kind of wonder if maybe sand might get some more because I was noticing extra drills back in this format.
Yeah.
So you could see some T-Tar play with some sand teams going on. I wonder if that might make a comeback as well. I definitely think weather is going to be a big show on this one, just because of the power that it brings to these more neutral or more regular guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think weather is going to be the big thing, and I do like how you pointed out Houndstone and T-Tar, because Houndstone, T-Tar is super weak to fighting. Houndstone is immune to that, so they play very well together.
And you get that sand rush too.
Yeah.
So you get the ability synergy.
Yeah, so they work really well together. They synergize so well.
They do. They do.
And then that last respects to be able to play around with.
Oh yeah.
With
that hits
any
things
deaths
so
that
hard.
happen.
It does.
choice band that bad boy with the extra speed and some last respects.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wasn't the last respects Houndstone in singles? Wasn't that one of like the quickest bans in competitive history?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it like immediate? I watched a video on the quickest bans because I know Houndstone was like immediate. I can't remember some of the other ones. I'd probably have to find the video again, but yeah, that thing. Yeah. It's just insane what they come up with each game and each generation. They just the most random new Pokemon. They'll give them the craziest
craziest
stuff.
mechanic.
Yeah.
No, I have a question when it comes to kind of the how last respects work. So each Pokemon that you've lost, it boosts its attack, right?
Yes.
Does that also count if you used Revival Blessing to bring back a Pokemon and then it gets knocked out?
I think it does. I believe it does.
Possibly, yeah, because it says power is equal to 50 plus X times 50, where X is the total number of times any Pokemon has fainted on the user's side. So it doesn't say like currently fainted.
Yeah.
It says the number of times that's fainted on your side.
Yeah. So wonder if that could be a tactic someone tries out.
That's crazy. Yeah. So get that thing extra. I think it's funny that they on Smogon under the move description it says and X cannot be greater than 100, implying that you might have 99 faints and you're just bringing them back.
Yeah.
But that there might be something there. I mean, at least from the way I'm understanding that could work. So there you go.
Well, especially what could be really busted, because the thing is we haven't seen Sinistra used as much, right? But if you had Sinistra and like Palma or Brambleghast playing games together, like you could Revival Blessing, bring something back, switch into Sinistra, heal up, and then basically kind of play that loop of Sinistra kind of going in and out, healing up your guys.
Yeah.
And you could probably do some pretty interesting stuff there if you could get like I don't know all the ins and outs of the team build there, but you might be able to like literally just be able to heal your Revival Blessing user over and over again and get them back up healthy so that they can keep bringing back a guy, so that it honestly like that's actually really really interesting to think about. Man,
I like the idea of just playing around with different mechanics and kind of seeing how they work together, how they interact. I think that'd be pretty cool to see some of that.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of the creativity when it comes to team building comes from.
Yeah. And it'd be really cool to kind of see. It's like that's the thing that I think I'm most excited for is to see how the geniuses, in the Pokemon world, like just really bring out the hidden potential of these Pokemon that we've seen maybe once or twice, or we've seen early on in the regulation, but because of these extra tools that are now exist, like with Sinistra, because Regulation A was really a highlight of the Paldean decks, but now with this, you get that highlight even more with the regular boys, and you can really play around with it. I think that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how this year's VGC they had these different regulations. I think that having a mix up every so often really benefits the VGC format.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think having it be I actually think that the time, because they eventually got to the point where it was about 3 to 4 months for each regulation, and that felt about right. That felt about right to move on to a new rule set, to try out new things, to see really what. Just because there's so many Pokemon, and so really being able to allow a time period for highlights for each Pokemon, I think is really, really cool. We also get Araquanid back in this one. I actually think Araquanid will be very cool. Because of that sticky web, we got wide guard strats on there. Oh man, I could go on for a long time here, but it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be very, very interesting. I really do hope that we see some Hisuian Typhlosion strats on there, because I do think that Mon is pretty incredible, and there's a lot of potential out there, like we said, for a lot of Mons.
Yeah.
But we just want to thank you really quick, as we're kind of reaching our time limit here. We don't want to take too much more of your time, but again, want to thank you for giving us some of your night here to chat and just to have fun with this kind of stuff. We love geeking out with you. But before we head out officially, we wanted to give you a moment again, if there's anything you want to shout out for yourself, any upcoming projects, anything like that.
So, of course, I'm currently working on the flying type challenge. And then after that, I'll have 2 more. And then there's something I want to do with that. I'm not going to reveal it yet, but there's something I want to do with that, with all of these gym challenges I've been doing. So keep an eye out for that, because I don't want to reveal it, but I feel like it's going to be pretty fun whenever I get to that point. And then after that, I think I might do Generation 2. I think that would be pretty fun to go back to Gym 2, do the Gym Leader Challenge with some of those Pokemon that stomp around the Johto grounds.
I love it. Yeah, that'd be great. So you're saying we get to see some when you hit bug, some Shuckle, Ariados, Ledian action.
Oh yeah,
Heracross.
Heracross is going to be a big one on that one.
Yeah, that's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting, probably.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Shuckle might be able to take on the first gym there, and then Heracross might be able to do the rest of it.
Yeah, just kind of get awesome. Heracross in there and just try to sweep with Heracross. See how well he can do lifting, all the heavy weight on his back.
Yeah, there you go. For the thumbnail, you have to edit in Heracross with all the rest of the team members on its horn or on its back or something like that.
On its back, yeah.
So that'd be awesome. We're excited to see what you have pumping out here soon. Well, of course, we'll tag you and everything. So everyone, make sure you check out MrChabry, subscribe to him, like all his stuff, check out his content. Like we've said before, awesome stuff. Really, really good stuff to watch. Really knows his stuff. And I'm sure we'll be seeing some Reg H stuff here around the corner as well. And yeah, looking forward to it. So until next time, this is Josh Logan and MrChabry with Skill Link signing out.
See you guys.
See ya.